I'd like to call to order the Legislative Committee. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Kennedy,
Here.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Vaquero, Alderman Cone,
Present.
Alderman Villa,
Here.
Alderman Arnowitz,
Here.
Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderwoman Green, Alderman Ogilvy, Alderwoman Behringer.
Present.
We have 6 present, we have a quorum.
Okay, we have before us today Board Bill number 67 from Alderman French, who's going to present Board Bill number 67.
Turn off my phone. Good morning, everybody. Board Bill 67 is an extension of an ordinance we passed 2 years ago. In 2014, we passed the Transparency in Government Law, which created a official YouTube page for the city of St. Louis and required that all committee hearings of the Board of Aldermen would be recorded, as you can see here, and posted to that YouTube page. It has really allowed the public to become more engaged. Obviously, we have meetings during the daytime. Many people from the public can't attend. Even other aldermen often can't attend. We do not keep transcripts of the meetings, and so what this has allowed us to do is kind of leverage technology at very little cost to us, being able to record these meetings, leave them out there for all of us, including the public and aldermen, to be able to go back and review. Now, what this Board Bill 67 does is extend it beyond just the current meetings that it requires to also include the Board of E&A and the Preservation Board. It also includes right now the Board of Public Service, but in consultation with the Communications Division, which did have their budget cut a little bit this year, I'd like to take out Board of Public Service since the Communications Division will actually be operating with about $8,000 less than they had last year. In Ways and Means, we attempted to put that back, but when it came back from E&A, they had cut it down a little bit more. So to lighten the load, the Communications Division does a great job with very limited resources they have, but I don't want to overextend them. And I think that the Board of E&A is most important of the 3 boards that we were adding. That is a board that really is one of the most powerful boards in the city and largely operates in the dark. They meet in a very tiny room in the mayor's office. The public seldom goes. They were included in the previous ordinance, but they have chosen to exercise the option of audio recording. And so what they do is they record on a tape recorder currently and then send the audio tape over to the Communications Division. And the Communications Division then puts it on YouTube with the audio and just like title on the screen. So talking to the Communications Division, they said that within the current budget, they'll be able to extend the same thing they do for our committee hearings and our board meetings to the Board of E&A. And I think that's something important both for the public and even aldermen, because many times we make decisions here and then they are changed or modified in E&A, and it'd be important for us to see what happened. Any questions?
Well, first, let me start by, as the chair, my biggest question is that when we're talking about costs, because you just, if I'm correct, you're saying you want to do a committee substitute to remove the Board of Public Service.
Not a committee substitute, but I do want to amend it to scratch the Board of Public Service in from page 3, line 8.
Right, because of cost?
Correct. So what we're doing now is, what this bill would require is, under current language, 3 additional boards for the Communication Division to record. They feel that they can do, under the current budget, even with the $8,000 less that they're getting this year versus last year, they can do E&A and Preservation Board, which each meet about once a month, unless E&A has some special business. But the Board of Public Service, they felt, with the cuts, might not be, they might be stretched a bit thin.
Okay.
And the Board of Public Service, I would think, as far as public interest is, I'll put that third in line of those 3 boards.
Okay, so, and I'm not on Ways and Means,
Mhm.
so that's why I'm going to clarify by saying, I don't know if this was done in Ways and Means, but do we have a breakdown on the legislation we passed and the cost to currently video all the meetings that exist now, and then the additional cost to add this? Do we have all that broken down so that we can see, and then where are we getting the funds? That would be my next question.
So there is no additional cost. They will do it with existing funds, and in actuality, based on this year's budget, they will actually do it with $8,000 less than they did last year.
But what I'm saying is that what did it cost us last year? Because when we originally, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
so if I am wrong, that's why I want to clarify. When we passed this, because it came through this committee, and we said it wasn't going to be at any additional cost
Correct.
to us.
Correct.
But that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it is an
No.
additional cost.
It has been no additional cost. They have used their existing budget, and actually it's been a shrinking budget a little bit since 2014. And what they do is basically realign resources. So if they had gone out to do more community events or more TV show style things, they would do less of those and do more meeting coverage.
Okay.
So they do it within their existing budget. And like I said, for this bill, when it goes into effect, it will actually be $8,000 cheaper than it was this current fiscal year.
Okay, because that, like I said, what was my biggest concern is what is this costing?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been, as long as I've been down here, there had been kind of an attempt to kind of chip away at the communication division budget because it really was felt by some that it wasn't very as useful as it could be. And so I think one of the things that the 2014 bill did was really make it a lot more useful. This YouTube page, their recording of these meetings have become very useful for folks. People can pull up our activities and other boards' activities on their phones. Again, using the YouTube and Google technology, no expense to us. We don't have to pay for servers or anything. It's been pretty successful, I think. And they did it all with their current budget, just kind of realigning resources.
Okay. So should we get the amendment or discuss this bill? Oh,
No, Madam Chairman, I was prepared to offer the amendment on behalf
okay.
of Alderman Friend. Madam Chairman, I would move that committee amendment number 1 to Board Bill number 67 on page 3, line 8, by simply bracketing out the words "the Board of Public Service." By bracketing out, meaning we're going to eliminate those words. The Board of Public Service would be deleted out with the adoption of this amendment.
Okay. All those-
I guess a point I'd like to make,
Okay,
which is that as it's currently worded, we don't have, if we take it out, then we would, as the bill's currently worded, the Board of Public Service would no longer be required to have audio recordings either.
And that's because
Because there are,
you scratched out the audio recording section.
well, in part,
We're
because
changing
there were
that.
because nobody was being allowed to use audio recordings in lieu of video recordings.
Mm-hmm.
So we would.
And what I mean is, if you look at Exhibit A,
Right,
under Section 3E,
right.
there was audio recordings, and that's been eliminated.
Because it was no longer being referred to in the bill.
Those are the only 3 entities that use it.
Right,
Mhm.
so, I mean, I guess you could add that back in, and then add a sentence in that recording public meeting section saying, all public meetings of the Board of Public Service shall be recorded by audio in their entirety.
Okay.
Does that, I don't know if you're following that.
Whatever you said.
Am I following it? Yeah, I'm following it. It's not that difficult to follow.
Okay.
Years ago, we used to, am I recognized?
yes,
Am I-
Alderman Villa, you are.
It seems to me that years ago, BPS was like the Preservation Board. Don't they actually have a court reporter at those? Does anybody know?
At BPS?
Yeah.
Do they?
Do they still?
They have a secretary that takes the minutes of the meeting. That's how we end up with those letters that have the, outcomes from the appeals and whatnot.
Do they take just minutes or transcripts?
They do an audio transcript and minutes from the meeting.
I'm not sure. My memory, which is gone, used to be, but I don't know what we do now.
Those requirements may exist somewhere else as well. As this ordinance, prior to it being amended, required them to do audio or a transcript. But the transcript requirement may exist because of their procedure somewhere else, or a litigant or somebody before it may request it and may pay for that, I don't know. At any rate, I don't think this would mean transcripts would go away.
We could call upstairs and they'd give us an answer in 6 months. BPS moves with the speed of the glacial age.
The other option would be I could draft this in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Maybe do that.
Yeah,
At the
I
very
think
least, we
that's
don't
gonna
wanna,
be the chair.
we don't wanna make it less transparent, so
Mhm.
at the very least, let's keep them.
Would you like to give me the option while you guys talk,
Sure,
discuss?
you go ahead and work on the amendment, and then we'll go through the committee and see if they have
Okay.
any questions about the bill.
You're right, Beth.
All right? All right. Alderman Kennedy.
I don't have any questions at this point, thank you.
All right. Alderman Davis.
I guess we have so many committees, and the two that I have interest in is LCRA and LRA.
Yeah.
So what do we do about that?
I would like to see eventually all city government covered. It's just a budgetary issue right now, and so
Understand.
we'd have to restore the $8,000 cut from this year and perhaps add another 20.
Okay.
But I think it's a good use of funds. I mean, it's a lot of these meetings. Very important business occurs, and even elected officials aren't able to attend all the time. And it'd be good to be able to pull it up at your convenience.
And actually speaking, we're probably about 10 years behind most other cities.
Yeah.
That's how I learn about a city, when I get in my hotel room, I turn on the
Mhm.
station and I look at the different meetings to get a feel for what's going on.
The one thing I would really like to see eventually happen too is a partnership between STL TV and one of the local TV stations to make use of their HD channels. You know how they have like channel 2.1, channel 2.2. Even Larry Rice is on one of them, but STL TV is not.
Right. And please don't forget that we have UMSL and we have KDHX as
Mhm.
well. And with Channel 9, their public station, was especially, they're focusing more on community and economic development and education, they might be interested too. So I think it could be a regional effort.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alderman Davis.
I'm gonna go tell Tim, I think we need to amend section 4 in the exhibit also, Antonio, we get the same, near same verbiage, correct? You see it?
Yeah.
So we gotta-
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Bella. Alderman Vaquero.
No question.
Alderman Cone.
I remember when we did this back in 2014, a concern of mine was records retention, and I'm not, I mean, I've gone through this and I know it's only a few pages, but I don't see anything specific in terms of how long these are supposed to be
10 years.
retained for. Was it 10
I'm
years?
sending it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the last page, lines 2 and 3. Recording shall be archived on the website and shall be accessible by the public for a minimum of 10 years
Great.
after the date of the meeting.
So, and I'm out here on the YouTube station for STL TV, and I mean, I'm not terribly impressed with the number of views. I wasn't expecting a lot of them though, but I mean, some of these videos only have, 9, 10, 20, 30 views on them. But I don't see any of the committee hearings.
They're on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on there.
Yeah,
It's
because I
a,
went back and looked at some the other night.
I don't know if they're on the YouTube. I mean, I've spent the last 20 minutes going through the YouTube station, and there's, a Board of Alderman archive, which is just our full board meetings, and then there's City Corner, which is, various community leaders. And
oh, I think you're looking, there's 2 pages.
Yeah.
There's 2 YouTube pages. One is, I think, called Official City of St. Louis page,
Okay.
and then there's STL TV.
Okay.
And the STL TV page has a lot of their original content, like
And
Darlene
boards
has a
and
show
all
or
that.
whatever. But the official city YouTube page just has business.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking questions to kind of filter.
No, I didn't know if you were
getting the
through, I'm
amendment.
sorry, I was talking to Alderman Villa, did you? Were you done with your
No, yeah,
question?
I don't have anything else.
In regard to views, I think, you know, it's just like a committee hearing. If there's something controversial, people come and people view it online. If we're doing our jobs and it's, you know, nothing controversial, just doing the normal business of citizens, it's pretty boring and nobody wants to sit there and watch a 3-hour meeting on their phone. But if you look at some of the more controversial legislation committee hearings, there's a lot of views on those.
All right. Alderman Arnowitz?
I always thought we was recording the DNA. I guess I need to go there more often.
Yeah, just audio.
No, I mean, if we're recording our meetings here and committee hearings, I mean, I think people in the public like the idea we record everything down at City Hall so they can keep up with it. And I guess and I agree, it seems like the last few years their budget gets cut a little bit each time. I think they do a great job. I mean, they interview aldermen in their wards, different things that's going on. And I think as people, you know what, at least I see where my money's going, you know, this, that, and everything else. I see no problem with it. I think it's a great idea. I wish we could find the money for them to, I think SLDC, CDA is very important for people to be able to view. Hopefully we can somewhere, you know, if not this time, somewhere down the line, look for it next year where we can do it. I think that's very important when you're talking about tax abatements, this, that, and everything else, and see exactly why it's being used, so people may get a better understanding of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have a lot of people that really don't understand why you give tax breaks to developers, this, that, so it could give them a better understanding of how they actually work, so. I agree with it. I think once we get this amendment done, it's a good bill.
Thank you. I think you're right. It can be very educational for folks to learn the process. You know, and for instance, when we do the budget, you know, the Ways and Means Committee hearings are recorded. People can view online. When we do evening meetings, sometimes we do a public meeting regarding the budget. People can go and see that. We have even operated for the last couple of years a Twitter account that tweets out what's going on in the budget hearing. But then we do all that, and then it goes into like a closed room, and something happens with it we don't get to see, and it comes back out. So that whole process is kind of incomplete. The full coverage is not there right now. I think this will complete that coverage of the budget process. And to both your point and Alderwoman Davis's point, you know, this is a living, breathing thing. And so we started it off with just mostly covering the Board of Alderman activities, allowing for an audio option for the other committees to make sure we kept the cost down, see how it worked. We've seen how it works. It works pretty well. So now we're expanding it to include 2 more bodies, and I would like to continue to expand it to eventually cover all the city government.
And then I refer to my friend from the 25th Ward. Maybe I can comment before 8 p.m.
Okay.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to remind, that's what we talked about originally in the bill, that we would start off incrementally and with the board and then expand it. But the ultimate goal was to be able to have every commission and every board of the city that holds these types of meetings to be recorded.
The airport commission.
Yeah, the airport commission.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is that by using, you know, YouTube, if we left it up to the city to like maintain servers and post the video, you know, technology, it would always just be stagnant. But by using YouTube, those videos will always be there, and the technology improves for searching them. I mean, eventually they're adding, you know, like subtitles and, you know, voice recognition, so you can do text on it, and they do that. They pay for that. The city doesn't pay for it at all. So just using existing technology.
Just, I mean, this is just out of curiosity. So because I am not a technical wizard, So can people go onto those YouTubes and cut and paste from them? So let's say they wanted to take a meeting and not have it in its entirety, just have it say what they want it to say and leave out all the other parts? Can you do that?
Can they edit it?
I mean, I don't know.
So your average user can't just pull up. They can take they can point to a certain timestamp. Can a very talented person go and pull the video and change it, put somebody else's faces on it? Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I was just curious, because I mean,
every person.
I see it.
This way, I'm not smart.
I've seen some pretty clever videos around the NBA Finals lately where they take people's heads and put them on different. But I'm sure, I guess somebody could do that. But,
So they could use it, let's say in commercials, without anyone's permission? I don't know. I'm just asking since I'm waiting for the amendment.
That's a good
Question.
So could they take any of that and use it for
could somebody
commercials?
take a video out of context and put it in a political commercial?
Yes.
Yes, but they would not be inventing anything new. That's done every year.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know based on, rights of ownership, if you have to have permission, but if it's a public record, I guess not.
It's public domain. It's a video.
Okay.
We would hope people don't. I mean, they could do that here too. I mean, they can come
Right.
with their phone and record a meeting and, put
Yeah.
things out of context. Yeah.
That happens a lot.
I know, I was about to say, they're already
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, it does that.
I just didn't know if there was anything based on it being on, official city that they,
I mean,
That
if
wouldn't
somebody
allow
wanted
it.
to do something bad, they could, they could do that.
Marlene, I think.
But I think the difference though is that there would be an official record there that you can compare it to versus if somebody just showed up and we didn't record meetings and somebody showed up, recorded it and put it out of context and said this is what happened. There's now like an official video and say, no,
Mhm.
I
Good
can point you
point.
to this video.
yeah,
This
here's
is
the
the full
official
meeting.
Right.
video.
Yeah. I've used it that way a few times
Okay,
already.
all right,
No, that's not exactly what happened.
okay. Let's see if how close we are.
Larry, we're on recess over there. Jeffrey pulled the bill on Barb and Hasty. He didn't like it or something. So now they gotta meet tomorrow morning. But we're only in recess because we got two other bills to do. So we're on, start recess right now. I don't think you realize how important we are.
I do.
I would actually, if we could.
Have this done right
That
now.
would be interesting.
I think he's working on it.
That would be good if we could ever get them to record the airport.
Oh, that'd be real good.
Do we, when we print and publish ordinances, are the exhibits included? I think maybe they are.
I thought they were.
It should be.
They are.
The ordinances, not
No,
the
the
war bill.
exhibit.
Is
The bills.
Is the
Because
exhibit
well,
attached to
in
the?
some ordinances, the exhibits are considerably longer than the ordinance.
Mhm.
And I was just wondering if when we,
Most times.
Shane, you look
Compile and
preoccupied
print.
today,
All
buddy.
The ordinance.
He's printing it,
Okay.
whether we,
All right?
so,
The,
20 seconds.
Are you saying the ordinance or the board bill?
no,
The final ordinance?
when a board bill becomes an ordinance
Is
and
it-
there is an exhibit attached, do we in fact print and compile that exhibit as part of the ordinance?
I believe so. And it's in the city journal as well. I think the board bills though, when they're published online, don't always have the exhibits, which is frustrating.
Very rarely
They
do
do,
that.
you have to go through Internet Explorer to do it.
No.
Thank you, Rachel.
Doesn't work on Chrome, I discovered
It
that.
does not, right.
Okay,
Doesn't work on
Because for whatever reason,
Chrome,
it
Google
doesn't
Chrome.
pull up the PDFs.
Nothing worse
that
than
you
that,
submitted
but it
through
doesn't
Chrome.
work on
Does the
Chrome.
right Internet Explorer though?
Really?
Or at least it did on the old
That makes me
website,
mad.
can't tell you about the new one.
Wow. New website back up yet?
Yeah, finally.
Today would've been a beautiful day to play golf.
thought it was gonna rain.
Yeah, but if you teed off at 7 this morning, you beat it.
Oh, my gosh.
Mhm.
I wasn't originally.
I will notify the clerk.
I can hear his printer.
Say you said 4 minutes.
I can hear his printer. Hear it?
Took it off the thing, we're done.
Was Terrence over in the other meeting?
No, I think it's.
How's that phone working out there?
Oh, wonderful. But it's
Yeah.
not obsolete.
It doesn't flip.
It doesn't flip.
Yeah.
Here we go.
When Boyd told me
Your
that
patience.
the phone was a rotary dial, I had to go and get a new flash.
I'm surprised you don't have like a rotary app. When you can still.
Right, right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Here, there you see it. Got another one?
I do not.
That's okay.
Who needs it?
I'll go over there.
Did they not?
They should make them around.
Who doesn't have one?
I don't have one now.
He needs,
Thank you.
Now you got one.
Yes, I do.
I'm gonna have one.
So this restores the definitions of transcript and audio recording. It restores, I guess, the sort of findings that mention that audio recordings and transcripts are helpful. And then, really the operative language is the very end of the amendment.
Somehow we're still one short.
oh,
That's okay, I'm sharing it.
There you go.
I don't want you to share.
I move that we pass Board Bill 67 out with a due pass recommendation.
I second it.
Did we adopt
We
the
had-
amendment?
As
yeah, wait a minute.
Oh, we need to adopt.
Wait a minute.
I'll s-
I move that we adopt the amendment to Board Bill 67. Good call there.
And I'll second that. I'll second that.
Should I call the roll?
Yes, please.
Alderman Kennedy?
Aye.
Alderman Davis?
Aye.
Alderman Vaquero?
Aye.
Alderman Cohen?
Aye.
Alderman Villa?
Aye.
Alderman Arnowitz?
Aye.
Chairwoman Berenger?
Aye.
That's 7 ayes and 0 noes
Okay.
for Amendment 1.
I move that we pass Board Bill 67 out as amended with a due pass recommendation.
Second and previous roll.
Any objections to previous roll? It's up to you to declare that it's passed.
I declare that we pass Board Bill, with the amended Board Bill 67 AA with due pass recommendation. All right,
All right.
meeting adjourned.
Thank you.